All right, everybody, welcome back to Unscripted from my Jerseys of Hope studios. Three-time returning guest. This is awesome. First time was a Christmas album, I believe, and then another album or EP. And Kate, can you just introduce yourself and we'll go from there?
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say I am so happy to be back on the podcast. Literally, I remember the first time we got on for my Christmas album, I believe. We were just like laughing nonstop. It was so much fun. So I'm so glad to be back. And I think today, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're here to introduce my new single coming out this Friday. I don't know when this episode is going to be released, but it's coming out April 19th, and I'm super excited to talk about it with you. So
Absolutely, and I'm blown away that you would come on here to launch that. So yeah, goodness, and we did laugh. So let me start here. Did we ever get the TikTok viral sped up thing? No.
Okay, so that's one of my goals for this single, because we were talking about the last episode, how you've made it is when they make like the Alvin and the Chipmunks version of your song, and they're like, it's super sped up and you sound like Chipmunk. So my goal for this new song, Stand on Your Promises, I'm getting that Chipmunk version. Like, I am making it happen. Like, someone out there, one of my followers, this is a call to action for my followers, make the sped up version of my songs.
Let's
So
go. Seriously, let's go.
yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Exactly.
So that was a goal we set in the first one. We're not quite there yet, but I do believe we'll get there because so let
Yes.
me ask you that. You do have a ton of followers, and I really want to start there. The fact that you don't have a team behind you, right?
No.
It's
No.
just you, and I don't mean that in the most respectful way possible. You don't have a team behind you. People need to understand when they see, because I see all your stuff and I see how hard you're working on socials and putting everything out. You don't have a team doing that for you. You're doing that yourself, right? That's the
Yes.
life of the independent artist, right?
Yeah, that's all me. And I think it's funny when people email me on my work email, they're like, to whoever this concerns, to Kate Stanford's team. And I'm like, guys, you're
It's just
emailing
me.
me. It's
That's
just
right.
me. And people, it's funny, they think I have like a social media team having me, helping me with ideas and posting every day. No, that's me every single day. At the beginning of the week, every Sunday, I create ideas, and throughout the week, I will release those videos as I go. And it's honestly just been a joy doing it myself, because it's just the ultimate way to connect with people and to minister to people. So at this point, I'm like, I love doing it. Like it's a fun thing for me to do. So
Well, I'm glad it's fun because you've created a pretty massive following, and everything's
yeah.
relative, right? But for not having a social media team, for not having people that are doing this 24/7 on your behalf, for you doing this on your own, you've created a pretty massive platform, and that's pretty impressive. So
Well, thank you.
just like the very first time I interviewed you, I'm always so impressed by
Thank
you,
you so much.
by who you are as a person, and we'll talk about that as well. But I'm always very impressed in the fact that you're doing this on your own. People need to understand that. Like, that's just the life that some people get, without signing. So, all right. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Last time I think we talked, you were getting ready to graduate.
Yeah.
If I've followed you correctly on social media, you have graduated. Are you in Nashville now?
I am. So yeah, I graduated from University of Texas back in May of 2023, and in August of 2023, I made the move to Nashville to try and just, go full send it, as they say, to just get out there, network, meet new people, and just try to co-write with as many people as possible. And that's exactly what I've been doing. So the move has been well worth it, I think.
So you're enjoying it.
Oh, definitely. And I've made a lot of just amazing new friends from my churches, from people on social media that I've met. It's been awesome. And there's a great community of Christian singer-songwriters, Christian influencers here. So it's really interesting. I've met other independent artists, and it's like we're doing the same thing, and it makes me feel less alone when I'm like, oh man, like I feel discouraged today, and they can relate and be like, yeah, like I feel discouraged too, but like keep going, you're doing awesome. So it's been awesome.
I have a bass player friend that was with Luke Combs, and now he's with Brantley Gilbert. That's not a name drop, but I'll never forget when I interviewed him. He said, "This town will eat you up." Have you
Yeah.
found that?
Yes. Yes. There is definitely, look, one thing about me is I'm going to be real. I'm not going to be
Yeah.
mean. I'm not going to be nasty, but I'm going to be real. and say that it is hard to find your people here. And as an artist, you are constantly being scrutinized and you're constantly being judged, whether you like it or not. It's a part of this industry. And you gotta have to develop some thick skin, whether that be hate on social media, which I've experienced, whether that be people, not getting back to you about gigs, about, even hanging out with friends, people ghosting you, just all that stuff. You just kind of have to take it for what it is. And you're just like, well, God is going to make a way and I'm going to do everything possible in my own power to make it happen for myself.
So people know you because we've interviewed now a few times, and I do know your heart, and I follow you as well. And I think if people follow you, they'll see your heart, which is what I love so much. And that's not the name; it is the name of one of your songs. But I genuinely mean your true heart. I have to go back to, where did you find your foundation? Because in a town like Nashville, if your roots aren't really strong in your faith, I have a feeling that can change very quickly for you.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
can you just take us back to the roots and what you do, what you did, and what you do now to stay grounded? Because you are on your socials, you're very, very out front about the fact that I'm a Christian artist. I am a Christian.
Mhm.
How hard is that for you? Like, so there's a lot of different parts to that question, but
Yeah.
the start of it is like, where did you ground your faith and how do you stay grounded? Let's start there.
Mm. So I always am under the mindset of, if it is not for me, God doesn't want it for me.
Mhm.
So I am told no on a daily basis. Like, things just don't work out, and that's the nature of the industry. But the way that I look at it is, I'm like, God is protecting me from something there.
Mm.
That's not meant for me. That's not meant for my story. And it's like, you never know what's going on behind the scenes and what Jesus is seeing and what versus what you're seeing, right?
Mm.
So whenever I'm told no for gigs, for festivals, for record deals, whatever, it's like, well, I have to think, well, that's not for me. Jesus doesn't want that for me. There's something bigger and better ahead. And honestly, that mindset and leaning into that through prayer is the one thing that makes me be like, okay, keep going, keep going. Um, and the second part of that is honestly just the people in my life who like surround me. So my family we're very tight. They are honestly my rock and they believe in me more than anyone on this planet. So they're rooting they're rooting for me. And I would say just like a lot of my close friends are really big rocks for me. And I mean, most of my close friends don't live in Nashville. And that's what I have to keep reminding myself. I'm like, there's people all around the United States and sometimes the world that love me. And just because I haven't found a super solid community in Nashville doesn't mean they're not there. And then I guess the third part to this question is, my social media following is so supportive of me.
Good.
And just like literally the kindest people. On TikTok, I don't have an enormous platform. I have about 3,000 followers, but I would say about 85% of those followers are young girls and young women, and they are just the kindest demographic of people. And it just gives me so much hope for this new generation. I think the generation is Gen Alpha, because I'm like, wow, like they're doing something right, because they are just so kind, and I see them supporting each other in the comments, supporting me. And that gives me hope, because I'm like, well, I've fostered this community. Like, why should I think that I can't keep fostering that? So,
Are you afraid TikTok will go away?
so I am. I am afraid, but the thing is, I think that there's going to be another platform that replaces it,
Sure.
hopefully. We'll see. And I hope that I notice that a lot of my followers will translate onto the different social platforms. So like a lot of my TikTok followers follow me on Instagram. So I hope that they like my content, they like me and what I bring to the table in my ministry enough to follow me wherever the platform is. But again, going back to trusting God, I'm like, you know, Jesus has a reason for taking it away if he does.
So let's give all those out right now while we're on this subject. Where can everybody find you?
So I'm under the username Kate Stanford Music for all of my socials. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Sometimes YouTube. I tried out YouTube, but
Yeah,
I don't.
shorts are supposed to be like the next thing, but I'm still not
Yeah.
finding it. But hey, whatever.
Yeah, I like tried it out and I definitely did not hit the right demographic. I
Yeah.
was hitting a demographic where people were like hating on me and I was just like, okay, so I'm not really active on YouTube, but you can find my like lyric videos and stuff like that on YouTube. But yeah, I'm definitely the most active on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Kate Stanford
Instagram,
Music.
Facebook,
Yeah.
TikTok. Okay. Have you found that this is not a political question, but it might be. Have you found that in today's world that you're throttled on some of those platforms because you do speak out as a Christian? Have you felt like
Yes.
the algorithm has, and I don't know who does that. I'm not smart enough to know it or understand any of that, but I do believe it's real. And so have you found that you've been throttled by some forces because you have been spoken as a Christian?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's definitely a certain algorithm, but that pushes certain things.
Mhm.
And it's so funny because it's like the stuff that I interact with on TikTok is going to be like, Christian content, like funny videos, lifestyle stuff like that. And then there's just like these random videos that pop up where I'm like, why am I getting this? And it's
Right.
like, it's so interesting how the algorithm, even though you're interacting with certain things, it'll push other things. And I almost
Right.
feel like there is an agenda behind a lot of these social media platforms, and it's really interesting. Um, and I think that people are going to get hate no matter what you're posting, whether that's lifestyle, fitness, whatever. But I do think that people, like, I hate to play the martyr because I'm not a martyr. Like I'm fine, but like
Right.
I
Right.
think people do see, like, especially a young woman who's speaking out about her faith and is confident in who she is in her faith, and they kind of want to put her down.
Mm.
I genuinely think that. And back to the YouTube thing, I posted a reel, and there wasn't comments about what my content. There wasn't comments about my faith or Jesus, anything like that. There was comments about my appearance, positive and negative, right? Saying like, "Oh, you need to lose 20 pounds, then you'll be beautiful," like all this stuff. And it's just like, why do people? I know why, but they just
Mhm.
like feel the need to put people down. And yeah, it's so interesting navigating that because I just have to keep reminding myself that it's like these people must be so miserable to
Right.
just be commenting all these nasty things on people's pages. But long story short, yes.
Well, I'm a huge
Absolutely.
fan. I really am. I'm a fan because you do put yourself out there. And I think people that maybe listen to this that don't do that. I certainly don't do that to the level that you do. And that's not a knock at all. Like, it's just not, I mean, and I probably should. But I don't
Mhm.
have a social media team either. So I do what I can do and I put it out there. Right. But we put
Right.
ourselves out there. And then there's nights where I lay in bed and wonder, like, should I put out there? Like, should I have said that? And there are
Yep.
trolls, and I don't know how else to say it. They're trolls. And to your point, it's very sad to me that people spend their day leaving comments that are just vicious. And it's like,
Yeah.
and then I do try to remind myself what you just said, like, that's just their life, and that's sad. It's sad,
It is.
I mean, but it doesn't affect mine. And at the end of the day, if we're affecting one person for a positive, and I know you've done that, you just mentioned it on TikTok, the following that you have. If we're doing something positive in the world, then that far outweighs that one person that was sitting behind a keyboard and felt like they should fire off a message to us about our weight or our appearance or anything else that they may say. I mean,
Oh well.
right? Yeah. And
Totally.
I love that you have that perspective because that's very difficult. And there's a lot of young ladies that are, really affected
Yeah.
by those comments. And so you're just very strong. I've always appreciated that about you. You're very strong in
Thank
who
you.
you are. And I really do appreciate that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Let's talk music because that's why we got on
Yeah.
today. So new single, you're in Nashville. Um, you have multiple degrees, right?
So I have a degree kind of in like a business entrepreneurship
Right.
degree, and
Right.
yeah, that's my only degree, but
Uh,
very
but
proud
weren't
of
you
it.
working towards another one or something?
I was actually thinking about going to grad school in place of moving to Nashville, but I realized I was like, no, I need to full send this and do a music career and not worry about grad school.
Do you
So
feel like God told you that?
yes, I'll tell you a quick story before we get into the music aspect.
Sure.
But
Yeah, let's do that.
I was talking to God and I was kind of like, reckoning with him. I was like, I don't know what to do, right? And one of my stipulations was I can't move to Nashville alone because I just safety wise, and I'm a very social person, I would get lonely. So I was like, God, the only way I'm going to move to Nashville is if I have like a roommate or someone I know to move with. And literally someone who was kind of in my circle in college, I hear randomly through the grapevine that she's moving to Nashville.
Mm.
And I'm like, well, worth a shot. It's kind of late. It's like May. We're moving in August, supposedly. We'll see. Literally, she was like, yeah, I'd love to move in with you.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden we like drag our feet on an apartment complex or place to live, etc., townhouse. And I'm like, God, I don't know. Like we're not finding any places. Literally, like our top place called me in like June or July being like, hey, you got off the wait list. We have a place for you. And I was just like, that was a little too easy to
That's
not
awesome.
be divine
Right.
intervention. So yeah.
It's those God wink moments, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I know people look at, I just had a phone call today about something I felt like God said so clear to me. I didn't hear it. I sensed it, and I believe he wants me to do this thing. And I had a call today with somebody, and I was like, I don't know how it looks. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't, but I trust him. And
Yeah.
I've seen that enough in my life to know that when I feel like he said something, then I'm going to do it. I'm going
Totally.
to trust him, at his word, as they say. Okay, so you moved to Nashville, brand new single. Let's talk about the music. When did this song come about? How did all this happen?
So basically, I was in a bunch of co-writes as soon as I got here. And I always kind of wanted to write a song about this topic, but I kept on just like kind of pushing it back. I was like, oh, I just feel so personal to talk about in a co-write. But then finally, I just like one day I was like, you know what? Like I need to like write about this in a group of people, right, during the co-write. So I brought it. I was writing with Sam Hart, and her name is Jamie. I don't know how to say her last name. It starts with a J. Jimoshian. I think that's how you say her name. But we were all in a co-write, and I kind of started opening up about some of my health issues I've gone through in the last few years. So, I mean, I struggle with chronic pain and chronic migraines. I still do, but they've gotten a little bit better. And during that time last year, I also just struggled a lot with depression and anxiety. I think a lot of people in general, not just my generation, can relate to that and know how painful it is emotionally to experience that. And it was just a really hard time in my life. And truly, I kind of started playing like the woe is me card. And I was like, oh, like, I'm playing the martyr, like, woe is me, like whatever. And then I finally just, like, what's the expression? Picked myself up by my bootstraps. And I was like, no, like, we're not going to play that game anymore. So I vividly remember I like established this like morning routine where I would read my Bible every single day, like do a devotional, journal out an entry to Jesus every single day. It would literally be like, dear Jesus, please help me. Amen. Literally just like, that's all I could do that day. That's what I would do. And then I would read a like self-help book. So like I would read like Atomic Habits. And through doing that every single morning, I kind of just got through it. And that's what this song is about. It's like the first lyric of the song is, I've known pain in my heart. I've known pain in my body. I've asked God the questions time and again. And that's what it's kind of referring to. It's like me reckoning with him and asking those questions in my journal. And then the whole theme of the song is standing on God's promises, because that's ultimately the only thing that you can do when you're going through those hard times. And Jesus is the only one who is going to bring you out of it. So that's honestly what inspired the song.
And the song's called what?
It's called Stand on Your Promises.
Stand on Your Promises. And that comes out April 19th, depending on when people hear this. Where can they find it?
So they can find it anywhere you stream music. So Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, Deezer, Amazon Music, anywhere you listen, it's going to be there.
And you have a website too, right?
I do. So you can look up katestanfordmusic.com and you can find everything there. And depending on when people hear this, there's a pre-save link. But if you're hearing this afterwards, be sure to stream and let me know what you think.
Well, and I know you'll have it on socials as well, because that's what we just talked
Absolutely.
about earlier, right? Like that's what you
Yeah.
do. I'm sure you'll be promoting it out there. So because I have a feeling most of the people listening to, like myself, don't understand the process. So
Mhm.
you're putting out a single. Is there an
Yes.
album coming?
So right now, no. But in the future, I would absolutely love to. Just like logistically speaking, you might know this, but the market right now, oh, excuse me, is very singles driven, especially for an independent artist. And like this is not me being humble. It's just like the fact of the matter. Like I'm still independent. Like I don't have the level of listeners that like, a signed artist does, and that's okay. Like that's just where I'm at right now. So realistically, like financially, just with finances, I don't think I could swing putting out an album. So right now, I feel like it's better for me and like my plan to do like singles, really push that single. And then in the next few months after that, I've kind of exhausted all of that, move on to the next single and kind of release it that way. So that's
I
kind of
like
the
that.
plan. Yeah.
I like that, and I think it is important for you mentioned this. You are an independent artist,
Mhm.
so you don't have just like your social media content, right? Like, is that the same? That as an independent artist, you're pretty much on your own to promote this thing, come on some
Yes.
podcast with some guy in Columbus, Ohio, and talk about it. Take time out of your day, right? Is it the same kind of concept? Is
Yeah.
just like your social media? You're on your what did Taylor Swift say? You're on your own, kid.
Yeah.
Is that what
Yeah.
she said?
Yeah, something
Right?
like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's honestly all up to you. It's all out of your own pocket, your own time, your own energy. So I guess that's kind of why people want to be signed so bad. But I don't know. In my head, I don't know if you've heard of the artist Josiah Queen. He is killing it right now. Like his song "Prodigal." I think that's the one that kind of got him viral. But I believe that he is unsigned and he is making enough money on like merchandise and tours alone to stay unsigned. And I think
Mm.
that's super cool. And he did it all just, with his hard work and his dedication. So I think that honestly, he's a testament to being like, you don't necessarily need the labels, but like, you don't want them.
Right.
So I would just
Well,
consider that too.
yeah, I mean, this episode's going to air right after an episode I just did with another independent artist who's the daughter of my high school best friend. And so we had a lot of these conversations as well. We've seen this with so many young artists. The industry brings them in, they're incredibly popular. We
Hmm.
watch them rise to fame and then fall. And in some way, it's weird that people actually celebrate their fall as much as they celebrated their rise. And we're responsible for both. When I
Yeah.
say the music, I don't want that for you. Um,
No.
I don't want that for her. I don't want that for you. Um, you're both beautiful inside and out. And I don't want to see this industry. And I don't know anything about the industry. I just know what I have seen, and the pattern
Hmm.
has been pretty much the same. I don't want that for you all. I guess
No.
that's the protective dad in me is
Yeah.
I want to see you all be who you want to be and
Hmm.
not be told what you have to be, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? But I
Yes.
want you to be wildly successful at the same time. And so is that the tension you live in is like, I could go sign, I can go do, I can wear and be, and, have a social media team behind me. Or I can just stay true to who I want to be. Is that fair to say? Is that a tension you live in?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so, but the thing is I have to consider is each label I feel like is going to be so different, and it's like I don't have personal experience with labels, so I honestly have no clue if they, control certain aspects of an artist. I don't know. But I can say for the secular world, I think it's so interesting. And this is not to be too controversial or anything,
Sure.
but like I see so many young artists, like you said, female artists, they come in, the industry like over sexualizes them and kind of strips them of their identity and almost kind of like sells them out to the world. And it's
Right.
just so sad because I think about it and I'm like, realistically, like, do they want to be doing that? Like, do they want to be wearing like no clothes on stage or do they really want to focus on their craft? Right.
Right.
So I can speak for the secular industry, just what I'm seeing kind of like you, where it's just like sad and it's like
Yeah.
you kind of see them stripped of a lot of their personality and stuff too. And I often wonder too, I'm like, are they making music that they really like, or are they making marketable music? I don't know.
Right. I
So,
agree 1,000%. And you said that way better than I did because you're in the
no,
industry and you understand that. Like I'm trying to be respectful in that, but I have a feeling if anybody's listening, they know what I'm talking about. We've seen it.
yes,
We've
yes,
seen it. And,
yeah, and it's sad.
yeah. And I want you to be you, the same you that I've
Mhm.
interviewed now 3 times. It's not a brag. The same you that I met for your Christmas album. That's what I
Mhm.
want for you because you're incredible and you
Thank
really
you.
are. And I want you to be uber successful. So how do we help anyone listening, that has other friends that are in the same industry? How do we help? How do we make you successful without making you do what we just talked about?
Hmm. So I honestly would say the number one thing right now for me is social media and streams. So just like by giving me a follow, interacting with my content, like liking, commenting, sharing my stuff, that's gonna help me just create that community because that's what I'm really aiming for is a community. I don't want people to wow, this sounds just so like pretentious, but I don't want follows just because you think I'm like cute. Like I'm sorry, like I don't want follows like that because that's not going to be substantial. In 20 years, are you still gonna like I don't want to be perceived as this just like young girl you just want to follow, like, oh, she's so funny, she's so cute. I don't want that. I want a real community, a genuine community of people to be like, oh, like I like Kate Stanford, I like what she has to say, and I like her music. Um, and that's really just what I want. I want that community. I want to have relationships with my followers. If like any of you do follow me who are listening, like you guys know, like I try to get to as many DMs as possible, as many comments as possible because I think that is important. Because I am not better than anyone else. I'm not better than any of my followers. I'm not on a pedestal. We're all on the same level, and I want to interact and help as much as possible. So that's number one. And I would say number two is honestly just listening to my music and streaming my music and sharing it with any friends. That's going to help as well, just with the algorithm and everything like that.
I think I have a feeling I probably mentioned this to you before. And if I didn't, then I'm sure I thought it. Whoever raised you, you need to thank them because they have done a tremendous job.
Thank you.
Um,
I appreciate that.
no,
Yeah,
I
I have.
really, I can't say it enough. As a dad of daughters and a son, um, boy, if I was sitting with my kids and they said the things that you've said, as bold and as strong as you're saying them, uh, wow. So
Thank
from
you.
one dad to whoever raised you, please let them know they've done a heck of a job,
I
and they
definitely
should
will.
be very, very proud. I'm sure they are. I guarantee they are. But in case they needed some opinion from some random person, they've done a heck of a job. Really, they
Well,
have. Your
thank you.
your your strength is pretty amazing. It really is.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll give a shout out to my parents, Jeff and Sheila Stanford. They are awesome. They were just both been so involved in my life. I'm actually an only child, so the three of us are really tight.
Yeah.
And I think from a young age, this also is interesting. They kind of talked to me like I was an adult, and I kind of appreciated that. Like they weren't the type to like baby me and spoil me. Like they told me how it was. They're like,
Mm.
"Look, you messed up here. You can do better here," and like they're not critical, but they're gonna be real with me and be like, no, or yeah, that's good. And I think that they also just have exposed me to my faith, but also to the real world, like being a realist and just how the world operates. And I like honestly can thank them a lot for that.
Well, Jeff and Sheila, my hat is off to you. You've done an amazing job.
They
Um,
appreciate that. I'm gonna call them after this and be like, you have fans.
That's some random dude in Columbus, Ohio, as a fan. But no, I'm as big of a fan of theirs because of how they've raised you and how that oozes out of you. I'm a big fan of theirs as well. So Jeff and Sheila, well done.
Thank you.
Okay, whew, this has been fun.
So
New
fun.
album or new single comes out.
Mhm.
Again, can we give all the links and just again the best way? I know you've just said this, but in case somebody missed it or was driving and made a left-hand turn and
Yeah.
missed what you said. All right, first of all the links where people can find you.
Totally. So my website is katestanfordmusic.com. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all under Kate Stanford Music. YouTube as well, Kate Stanford Music. And then Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Amazon Music, anywhere you stream music, it's all under Kate Stanford.
All under Kate Stanford.
Yeah.
And what's next for Kate Stanford?
Okay. So
put you on the spot.
All right. So this is the first person like on the podcast or on a podcast or an interview I'm going to tell this to, but I'm really highly considering putting out my own podcast.
Okay. Well, let's talk. Let's talk.
Yeah. So
I know a thing or two, so
yeah,
I can help.
No, exactly. I'm definitely gonna need some pointers for you, from you. But I don't know. It's been a goal of mine for so long, and it's been one of those things where I like write it on my what's it called? New Year's resolutions every year to be like, make a podcast. But I've never gotten around to do it. But this year is the year of doing. Yes. And I'm going to do it and just full send it. And it doesn't have to be perfect because I am not technologically savvy like you are. So I'm going to have to figure that out. But I think that it's not going to be perfect, but eventually I'm going to get the hang of it. And eventually it's going to happen. So that's what's on the horizon pretty soon. After this new song, Stand Your Promises, is released, I'm releasing another new song. I've yet to get into the studio to record it, but the demo is there and I need to just go and do it. But it is called Praise You. And this song kind of goes crazy. Like, it's pretty good. Like, awesome. It is like classic CCM pop, like, but not classic, but like, it is like, there's like a beat drop and it would just go crazy live. Like, people would just, I don't know. It would bring the energy to worship. Like, it's not a worship song, but it's CCM pop, but like, it would just bring an energy to Christian music and to worship. So I'm just like incredibly excited about that release after Stand Your Promises. So those are the two things that mainly are going on.
Well, I can't help you with the second one, but I can certainly help you with the first one. And it would be an honor to help you as much as possible or give you any advice that I might have learned. I don't know if I have a good podcast. I have no idea, but I've learned a lot.
You have a great podcast.
There's a lot of podcasts in the world. So, just like the music industry, it's a very large pool. 6 million, I believe, was the last number I heard. But here's how I'll encourage you. Of the 6 million, only 10%, I think it's only 10% record more than 10 episodes. And I probably just destroyed that number, but that's about the truth. That. Yeah. A lot of people want to do podcasting and I think they get in and then most of them are gone after, 8 to 10 episodes. I think that is really true. But you've gone down this path already. You've stayed true and you fought the good fight, as they say, in social media, in music. Podcasting will be super easy for you, so you'll be great at it. So will you come back on when you launch your podcast?
Yes, that would be so much fun.
Right. Well, here's the good news. You already have intro, outro music because you can use your own. So how about that?
There you go. I've never thought about that. Would that be too pretentious though? Would that be too I don't know.
No, I doubt it. I don't know. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, unfortunately. This is between you and I don't listen to any of them. But I bet other artists probably use their own music. Would be my guess. But yeah, no, that it wouldn't be at all. I think you're promoting new music of your own. It's awesome. We'll talk offline on that because we probably just lost half the audience. No. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. I really am. And I was so honored. Every time if I send you a DM and you say, I'll come back on, that just makes me so happy because as no matter how big you get, I always want to be just a huge fan of yours. And I am a huge fan of yours, no matter how big you get. So I'm proud of your mom and dad. They've raised a very, very incredible young lady. And I'm always honored to have you on.
Thank you so much. Well, it is a pleasure.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, are we online?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, we're still online. Well, I just wanted to tell all of the listeners out there that Aaron is incredible. His podcast is incredible. And every time I'm on, I always just feel so encouraged and so inspired. So that is just a testament to him. So if you're listening, get on his pod. It's awesome.
Yes. All right. Name of the single one more time.
Stand on Your Promises, out April 19th. So depending on when you're listening, It should be out. If it's not, pre-save it. So
April 19th, stand on your promises. Kate Stanford on all platforms, right?
yes.
All right. You're the best. Thank you so much for coming on. I know we had to change times a few times.
Hey, it's okay.
It was very well worth it. I'm really proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. Let's get you on TikTok in Alvin and the Chipmunks version.
Okay. Let's do that. As soon as possible, please.
All right.